like beginner digital art. Just to show, we've all been through these phases. This is my art Instagram page. I don't
Hi, Grandma. I had an accident. I'm at the hospital now. Can you send money to this account?
Oh my goodness, is that you, Jake? Are you okay? Hold on. What's our family code word?
A family code word can leave scammers speechless. Make yours and protect your family from fraud. Scotiabank can show you how.
This is my art Instagram page. I don't really post a lot on here anymore, but I mean, where's some of the jank looking ones? We've all been through the questionable anatomy no neck phase. You know, I've done it. I didn't know how to draw hands, so my solution was to not give her fingers. We've all been there because some of my example of beginner art that I've done happens. We've all been through this. So this is one of their beginner pieces. Okay, let's look at another piece. So this piece is from the same day. It may not have been drawn the same day. It was just posted the same day. Where they said drawing Miku. I'm really proud of this one. They have a photo of Miku. And then they show their art of Miku. I'm gonna be honest though, this might be one of those where it's like hindsight's 2020. And maybe I'm just saying this because we have hindsight. It doesn't look like beginner art. It just looks like fast art, if that makes sense. Like it looks like this creator was told, hey, can you draw Miku in like 1 minute? And then this is what they made. It doesn't necessarily to me look like a beginner artist. It just looks like somebody else trying to draw fast, but that's just me. But again, it could be hindsight 2020 because I know now with current context. So here is another post also on the same day. So their post says, my first art trade with my friends. What I asked for, Eri. I don't actually know what any of these characters are. I'm so sorry. Maybe I haven't watched enough anime lately. This is what their friend gave them. And then this is what they asked for, Mafuyu. And this is what they gave. And we can read the comments. Jasmine says, eats and runs away. Blank username says the shading improved so much. Yat says, oh, that's not. We have somebody with a bow tie username stating, bye, I'm thinking they're the same person now. Hersher says, want to art trade. People said, I love your art, da 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 da. Yeah, the missing chunk of skull is really funny. I think it's just funny too because they didn't do it in the other art. Like Miku has all of her brain. Star Guardian Lux or whatever this character, Emu also has all of their brain. Typically people who make like anatomy mistakes, like they always somehow lose part of their brain in their drawing, in their characters, that is. It's consistent across all their art. But I just think it's interesting the mistakes they make as an artist is very inconsistent. It just looks like Star Guardian Lux to me. But yeah, the mistakes quote unquote, they make as an artist is very inconsistent. So now they have another post the next day drawing Tito. Here's their drawing of Tito. Again, some lines intersect. They're kind of using a paint bucket fill on the exact same layer they did the line art. You can see that with like some of the like broken outlines that happens down here. Again, with the full skull, yeah. So then we have this with, again, kind of a wonky neck. Me making these points, by the way, being like, this is wrong, da da da. I'm not trying to say this to criticize the art, da da da, as an artist. You will see later what is revealed about this artist as to why then I'm making these points, because I'm trying to show inconsistencies. So then they have another post, also same day, May 27th, drawing Shiho requested. Here's a drawing of Shiho. Oops, let me pause it here. So here's a drawing of Shiho. People in the comments are already stating, Shay is saying your shading has seriously improved. That's such a good hand for a start. Keep up the good work. Shay is super supportive. Flyleaf's #1 fan says the improvement is crazy. So people are really supportive of this art piece. Same day as well, still on the 27th, they drew Kohane. Also, again, I'm butchering like all of these names. I apologize. Look, I haven't seen a lot of anime lately, or I don't know where the characters are from, so I have no reference of what I'm guessing. Here's the drawing of Kohane. Maybe this is going to be a little bit harsh, right? If you're a beginner artist, don't take this to heart if your art looks like this, because this person's not a beginner. There's just a lot of elements of their artwork that tells me they're not a beginner that is learning. They are somebody who's just drawing pieces fast. But we have another post the next day. This is the 28th. Drawing Enna. So here's a drawing of Enna, etc. Again, the reason why I say their artwork looks like it's done fast is that a lot of things are done kind of without too much intention. Which even if you're a beginner artist, like beginner artists will draw pieces that look beginner, but they will take a long time doing it. Like with this beginner piece, this took me 3 hours. You can see I am shading in what looks like a very similar nondescript way, like they're shading in their piece. I'm not trying to compare my old art to their art in this sense, but I mean, I am doing it for the sake of this argument where my brushstrokes and paintings were done with a lot of intention. Even if it looked kind of scribbly, there was like intent as to like, okay, I'm gonna brush this out, etc. You kind of don't see the intent here with their piece. which again gives off the impression that it was done in a rushed way. And again, it will make sense later. Drawing Mizuki requested. Now here's their drawing of Mizuki. And if you take a look at this Mizuki drawing, you can see it's getting a lot better than their previous, there's more improvement happening in their artwork. The line work thinned out a little bit. Nothing wrong with thick line art, but it does kind of detract a little bit from an anime style of art piece. So thinning out the line work, having kind of like more movement and flow in the hair makes it look more fun. This is still on the 28th, and commenters are saying the improvement is showing good luck. Actually improve this fast, tell me your secret. And Candy says tutorial and tips from others. Other people are stating how much they love the artwork, how much they think it looks good, how the improvement is so fast. Again, we have this piece being on the 28th of May. This was their first ever art piece, right? They could have been drawing before they made this account, right? But they're claiming to be a beginner artist. In 2 days, they went from this, which is a big improvement. Okay, still on the 28th. We again have this piece they made. On the 29th, they drew Saki. So this is their Saki piece. This piece looks really good. Obviously, there's still anatomical mistakes, but I'm just saying, this piece objectively, to me, looks good. Look at the flow of the hair. The color choice looks really pretty. I love the really strong blue hues here. It gives a very anime-esque vibe to it. All the detailing on the jackets, the coloring of the hair looks so much better. The eye detailing looks really, really good here. Lower lashes. The mouth, the smile looks a lot more natural. But guys, this was posted on May 29th. Candy is alleging that they drew this on May 29th. Again, post date doesn't necessarily mean the date they drew it, but they're making it sound like that's the day they painted it. People in the comments are saying, so cute, can you post a speed paint? It's over, we're all doomed. Look at how fast they're improving. Whoa, how are you improving so fast? You're improving so fast, this is adorable. And this was crazy. Again, let me remind you, this was their day one of painting, or one of their early first works posted 3 days ago on the 26th. And here is their painting as Saki 3 days later. They improved that much in 3 days. Is it possible? Could I do it? No. For my art to go from this was posted July 2nd, 2017, to be able to draw like this. And I think that's pretty fast improvement to me personally. I feel like I improved really fast because during this window I drew a lot. It took me 2 years. It took me 2 years to go from that to this. I feel like I did improve pretty fast as an artist. Now I haven't improved at all because I stopped drawing. But back then I drew a lot, right? So here they're redrawing Emu. Redrawing. This is their new drawing of Emu. By the way, this was done on the 29th. This was their old drawing of Emu that they posted 3 days ago. Again, let me remind you, 3 days. 3 days. Could it have been traced so that they had such a fast improvement? Could have been. We don't know about that part, right? But they're allegedly claiming that they improved this much in 3 days. And the commenters are supportive and confused. Sully says, improvement is awesome. Gianni says, how did you improve your art in 3 days? Aha says, over a few days, I'm convinced this is an undercover artist. Oh, we share the same name. Says, my biggest flex that I never hated on Candy. Happy. Kansas says, the improvement is insane. What? So here they show us a speed paint. They did improve, yes. Whether it's traced or not, I mean, it definitely does kind of look like they did trace off of this character. So
Avec DoorDash et des rabais, rien à préparer. Ni appeler, retire et aucun cadeau n'est oublié. Ding dong, ta commande est là. Quelle joie! Plus de fêtes, moins de tâches. C'est le temps de relaxer. Dash les fêtes avec jusqu'à 40% de rabais sur des produits sélectionnés.
of the character and like the happy pose. This is, I guess, their official art, whatever. And then maybe they set up the grid and moved it somewhere else. I don't know if they traced over it directly or something like that, because they're drawing with the grid method, which is a method you can draw. Like the grid method is what people use to paint murals with, because you have to make a large piece, so therefore you can tell like what goes into what quadrant. Whether they traced over or not, I don't know. Because they lined up the character. This is the grid method. They could have traced it. Who knows? But you can see them painting and rendering. Their painting and rendering looks really good. Their use of shading, the highlights, whatever, it looks really good. They're using a big variety of colors. People are stating, it's really good, but I recommend you not draw this way. You'll never learn anything about the fundamentals. Candy says, yeah, I figured, thank you so much. Just wanted to see how much I could replicate the art style. This was done on the 30th. So here they say, redrawing my OC with full body. Here is their redraw. Let me remind you, this drawing of their OC was done on the 28th. So on the 28th of May, they made this post drawing my OC, and then they drew this piece. I think this looks really good. I think it looks really cute. I love the color palette that's used. All the colors match really well. Even the brown is a very like pinkish brown, so it fits really well with the kind of other pinks and purples going on in the color palette. But then here they say, redrawing my OC. This was done on the 30th. This is the redraw in a very, 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 very painterly style. Again, you can have different art styles, nothing wrong with that. But what I want to point out is how fast this improvement is. In 2 days, they went from this with a much more skilled and technical level of rendering the skin, shading the button, rendering the hair and clothing. They then show a speed paint to prove it's not AI. I just want to point something out. Let's just watch the sketching of the face. Just watch this. This level of ability to render and like sketch out the face in a very clean and like this is not something that a beginner artist does. You're definitely way more experienced than you're letting on if you're able to sketch in such a manner. This sketching is something that you see a lot of like much more experienced artists do. And if you are an artist that draws like this, like, bro, you're doing a lot better than you may be giving yourself credit for. But this level of sketching is not the level that a beginner does. People in the comments are kind of feeling the same thing. Carol says, I'm starting to believe that you are an undercover artist using this account because how did you improve this fast? Kuman says, it's getting more and more hard to think you're not undercover. It's impossible to improve that fast. I'm going to skip this one. I tend to draw a lot of like blood and gore, so I had nothing against it. I'm just not going to show it on stream. Drawing Aikido. Here's their drawing of Aikido. Really good. The level of lighting on this piece, the lights with the warm kind of like airbrushing over the intersection between the light and hitting the rest of the shading, the level of like warmth blended in with those airbrushes, the lighting on the hair, this understanding of light, after you trace like hell, you are a really good artist and you're not letting on to the skill level that you actually have. This was posted June 1st. Let me remind you, this was their post 5 days ago. Their first post 5 days ago on May 26th. They claim to have this level. This is not the level of skill that they claim to have 5 days later on June 1st. So did they claim they only learned in 2 days? Basically, they never explicitly said they only learned this in 2 days. That's basically what they're saying by reading between the lines of their comments. Let's see if they... So an example of this, we have Dalek stating on another piece of theirs, how do you actually improve this fast? Tell me your secret. Candy says tutorials and tips from others. So again, this was their first post was on the 26th. This post was made on the 28th. So Dalek is like, how did you improve that fast? You know, Candy knows that Dalek is talking about their improvement in 2 days from their first post to this post. Candy is not saying, oh, that post was from like 10 years ago and this is just like my art now. So that's the difference. Candy didn't say, oh, that post was like from 1 year ago, which is why it may look like I improved fast. Candy is not denying the inherent assumption that Dalek is not stating, but you can read between the lines to understand this, where Dalek is confused as to how they improve so fast in 2 days, and Candy is just saying tutorials and tips. They're not saying, oh, I grew this much in 2 days. They didn't explicitly write it out. You can read between the lines to understand that. Yeah, they should definitely clarify. So then here they say, June 11th, rating my actual old art. 7 out of 10, last tool drawing thing. Look at this level of sketching. Look, you see this type of sketching? It's a lot more like chicken scratchy with the sketching, which is something that beginners do because you don't have that confidence to draw long straight lines. So it becomes very chicken scratchy. This looks much more beginner. Still looks really good, right? But this old piece, a birthday piece they did for their friends, a lot more beginner like. Look, this still looks really good, right? But the hands definitely look like somebody that tried to draw hands. In the pieces that they claim to be beginner pieces, it looks like they just like tried to draw the hands really fast. There was no intent with how they drew the fingers. Beginners will have anatomy mistakes with the fingers, but you can definitely see that they put effort into drawing the hands. That's like why one of their old pieces, this looks really good. Another old piece, line work for one of their OCs, more of their old art, a lot more chicken scratchy than what they draw now. Chicken scratchy. But yeah, nothing wrong with doing chicken scratch things, you know? But I'm just saying the sketch that they did earlier, claiming to be, you know, being a beginner artist, here's my sketch, looked like a sketch that somebody with a lot of experience drew. It didn't look like a sketch a beginner draws. But this, yeah, in this post, they basically proved they were a beginner. This is their actual beginner art. So then they basically spent a while posting some art. So they redrew Miku. This is their new Miku drawing. Look how much better this. I'm not saying the old one was bad by any means. Nothing wrong with being a beginner artist. Like this Miku drawing is super cute. I know it definitely could be traced if you go back and forth on the image. That's another battle for another day. Whether it is or not, I don't know. They were doing some other art posts. You know, here's another one of their drawings. Like, look how nice their drawings are. Look how talented they are. No, but then it starts with all of this. They have this post from 5 days ago. I'm quitting in simple terms. I can't really take the guilt anymore. I'm sorry to everyone. I really did not want to impact anyone else. I never intended this to go this far, and I don't want this account to go further. The Discord server won't close. It is still available. I just will quit this account. Yet again, I'm sorry to everyone, including beginner artists, veterans, etc. I don't know if I'll come back again or not in terms of posting again. In the comments, they added more information. They tagged their new art account that they no longer have access to now. If you still want to check out my new account, I'm not expecting anyone to forgive me this account going and the benefit of the experiment. So I apologize to everyone and thank you so much to everyone who supported me or not. Still, thank you for everything. I don't think continuing this account will be great for me, as even if I don't get specifically tagged in hate posts / comments, I still occasionally see them in normal videos and it makes me cry. So yeah, I don't want to make anyone feel bad for me when I said I'm sensitive about hate, which I am, and it's so stupid how I could continue this account expecting no hate for what I've done. So to spare myself from crying again to comments and overall everyone from me continuing to post, so I'm quitting. I will probably not respond to any comments. It's ironic how someone as sensitive as me can make this account TBH. Thank you for everyone, hearts. So they posted that 5 days ago. Before that, June 11th, they posted this important discussing stuff. This account is not meant to be, quote, bait, unquote. It was all meant to be a social experiment. I didn't mean for any of this to actually get attention, and I have no bad intention to actually fool people. I'm extremely sorry for anyone who actually supported my journey. I truly feel guilty, which is why I made this post. I made this account because I was fed up of not getting any attention with my actual art. I know I should have been grateful. My old account had 52 followers, which I should have been grateful for, but spending 4 to 9 hours on an art piece for a few views each was tiring. If you choose to continue following, as I will continue posting art, or unfollow, both are valid and I understand. Why I continued this for so long is because I was scared of admitting it and being hated when I know that I'm already hated to being hate. If you choose to make hate videos, which I understand, please don't tag me as I'm sensitive to hate. I apologize for anyone who I've upset, but I promise I have and had no bad intentions. Thank you for all who have supported me and done fan art, etc. Hate is valid. So are they saying hating on them is valid, but they also don't want hate? I'm a little bit confused about that. Thank you so much for reading. This isn't a quitting post. I won't quit, and I will understand if people unsupport me. I just had to respond as I feel guilty continuing without addressing. It doesn't mean I don't use emoticons unironically. Stand on this. Thank you all. I mean it even if it was a hate video. Generally scared to post this. My personality will not change, by the way. I'll probably pin this post just so people don't get confused. Again, I'm sorry for lying, etc. Oh, by the way, no surprise, the art trade was just me. So again, that was referred to this post where they said the art trade was in reference again to this one where they say my first art trade with my friends. When I asked for Eri, this is their own drawing of Eri. And when I asked for Mafuyu, this was them pretending to be a beginner artist. So they drew both pieces. And then this is their final post on this account. Quick notice. This was from 5 hours ago. I won't be posting on my new account either. I quit both, so I don't bother with it. I probably won't be posting as Candy ever again. Quit TikTok in general. They wrote in the caption, I have no motivating reason to continue on under this name, and I wanted to post this on the new account, but I lost the account, so here's this instead. I won't be posting on TikTok anymore at all for a very long time. So I'm basically quitting forever in terms of ever being associated to this anymore. Meaning this account and everything with it will not be in use anymore. I'm sorry again for everything I've caused, and I'm sorry to post again. I will not be back at all. To clear up misconceptions, I messed up the wording in my pin. This account was initially a social experiment before it got popular. I'm really sorry for wording it incorrectly. Anything else. Thank you all again for everything. I'll be mostly inactive in Discord too. Sorry, I just cannot bring myself to do anything anymore. So what ended up happening, if you were confused after all of this, is that the post in the beginning, they were basically claiming they were a beginner artist and that they were new and they were learning. They were not a beginner artist. They are somebody who clearly is very skilled and talented in art and has been doing art for a hot minute. But they were upset that their actual art account that they were posting their completed pieces on weren't getting the traction they wanted. So as a response, they made a brand new account to fake pretend to be a beginner artist so that they could then show really fast improvement, quote unquote, because it's not actually improvement. They already have a skill level that's this high. They purposely try to draw like crap, fake being a beginner artist, fast improvement, and get social clout for being so good so fast. But yeah, basically a lot of people were really upset with what they were doing. They're not a beginner artist, but they're claiming to be a beginner artist. The problem that arises is they're making a lot of other beginner artists feel bad. Basically, a lot of beginner artists are feeling bad about themselves because they were comparing themselves to Candy and upset with themselves as to how they didn't improve as quickly as Candy did. I do think it's really disingenuous to market yourself as a beginner artist when you're not a beginner artist and then kind of bait everyone as a result. And the thing is, like, as an artist, right, it's easy to compare yourself to other artists and be like, why do I not draw as good as them? Especially there's always that one like kid that draws like an absolute god and you're out here being like, man, I'm 24 and my art sucks more than theirs, you know? Like, that's not how I feel, but a lot of people have carried that sentiment. to other people's art. I just want to say everyone's art journey is unique to yourself, you know? A lot of people's journey looks different for a lot of reasons. Like for me personally, I made what I would deem pretty good improvement in just 2 years because I had a lot of free time. So I was able to draw a lot. And then I suddenly have no free time for many years now. I haven't had a lot of free time and just haven't been able to draw anymore. So you never know somebody else's circumstance. Somebody who can make fast improvement, a lot of times it's because they have a lot of free time. So they're able to practice their art. Whereas for you, if you have, a kid, a family, job, school, whatever, you don't have as much time to be drawing that frequently. Your journey is unique to your own. Just because somebody is of a certain age or has been drawing for a certain amount of time, even if you guys have been drawing for the same amount of years, quote unquote, it doesn't necessarily identify to the amount of time that you have had to do art. Even though both of you guys may be an artist for 5 years, one person had a lot more free time and was able to draw for 4 hours every day, but you might have had enough time to draw for 4 hours. So it might seem like it's the same thing, but you're comparing oranges to apples. And again, at the end of the day, everyone's art journey is unique to your own. So, but again, I also just want to clarify that me making critiques about their arts, their quote unquote beginner art, I'm not trying to flame their art as a beginner because they weren't a beginner. And that was the thing. They were faking their beginner art. And then now when we go their old art with all of this extra context, their quote unquote old art, you can see what I mean. It looks like this piece is really rushed. It looks like you told them, hey, draw this character in 1 minute and this is what they gave you. Because even if you're a beginner, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, shading mistakes, anatomy mistakes, whatever, but it's still done with a lot of effort and intention. Whereas this, like a lot of elements like this tells me they're just trying to be really fast with it, to purposely bad. Like again, this Miko one is a pretty big giveaway too. You could tell that they just purposely tried drawing this really quickly. It's not actual beginner art because it's not. So yeah, anyways, I feel like faking being a beginner, pretending to be a beginner is just so disingenuous. Yeah, it's like when a Radiant smurfs and silver lobbies and pretends, yeah, like you're still Radiant. You're not fooling anybody. Like you can tell when somebody is purposely whiffing. They have the trigger discipline and the spray control. Well, they just like are purposely spraying over their heads, you know?
Karens humiliating themselves in public, cheaters deliciously put on blast, prepare for a collection of satisfyingly karmic days. TikToker Mama Tay was going through some CCTV footage at the store she worked at when she came across a clip she knew the world needed to see. Behold, the world's greatest criminal mastermind. Nice try, pal. At least you made it off with an entire third of the beers you were trying to steal, and all it cost you was your dignity. I can't stand littering. So imagine my joy when I read this tale from Redditor Piano9717. Piano had just hiked to an undisclosed tourist spot on the